Welcome to the Midnight Whisperers, where the shadows of history come alive in the quiet hours of night. We delve into the forgotten stories of extraordinary individuals and world-changing events. From the whispered secrets of ancient civilizations to the untold tales of those who shaped our modern world, we bring you history as you've never experienced it before. No need to stay awake until the end. Drifting off is our ultimate compliment. Let these whispered stories be the bridge between your busy day and the quiet sanctuary of your dreams. If you enjoy our stories, leave us a comment on where we should venture next. Once upon a time, in a world of ancient splendour, there lived a powerful Roman general named Julius Caesar. The year was 48 BCE, and Caesar had just defeated his great rival Pompey in a civil war that had torn Rome apart. Following his victory, Caesar journeyed to Egypt, a land of pyramids and mysteries along the mighty Nile River. Egypt was facing troubles of its own. The young queen, Cleopatra, who was only 21 years old, had been forced from her throne. Her younger brother Ptolemy XIII, who was also her husband, as was the custom for Egyptian royalty, had seized power with the help of his advisors. When Caesar arrived in Alexandria, Egypt's magnificent capital city with its towering lighthouse and vast library, he found himself in the middle of this royal family quarrel. Cleopatra knew she needed to meet Caesar, but palace guards watched every entrance, making it impossible for her to enter safely. So Cleopatra devised a clever plan. As night fell across Alexandria, a servant arrived at Caesar's quarters carrying a large rolled-up carpet. When the carpet was unrolled before the surprised general, out tumbled Cleopatra herself. Some say she was wrapped in a linen bag or bedding rather than a carpet, but however she arrived, her entrance was unforgettable. Caesar was immediately impressed by Cleopatra's boldness and intelligence. Though not conventionally beautiful according to Roman standards, Cleopatra possessed something far more valuable: a brilliant mind and captivating charm. She spoke 7 languages, including Egyptian, which none of her family had bothered to learn before her, even though they had ruled Egypt for nearly 300 years. "Great Caesar," she said in perfect Latin, "Egypt has been misruled in my absence. Help me reclaim my throne, and Egypt will be Rome's faithful ally." Caesar, who was 52 years old and had conquered lands across Europe, found himself drawn to this young queen's determination and political savvy. He decided to support her claim to the throne. This decision sparked what came to be known as the Alexandrian War. Ptolemy's forces surrounded the palace where Caesar stayed with his small force of Roman soldiers. For months they were trapped, with fighting in the streets of Alexandria. During one battle, the great library of Alexandria caught fire, and many precious scrolls were lost forever. During this time of danger, Caesar and Cleopatra grew closer. They shared meals and long conversations about politics, philosophy, and their visions for their empires. Cleopatra showed Caesar the wonders of Egyptian culture, taking him on a grand tour up the Nile River on her royal barge. They visited ancient temples and monuments that were already over 2,000 years old. Eventually, Roman reinforcements arrived, and Caesar's forces defeated Ptolemy's army. The young king drowned in the Nile while trying to escape. With Caesar's help, Cleopatra was restored to her throne, with her younger brother Ptolemy XIV as her new co-ruler and husband. In the spring of 47 BCE, before Caesar returned to Rome, Cleopatra gave birth to a son. She named him Ptolemy Caesar, though he was commonly called Caesarion, meaning Little Caesar. While Caesar never officially acknowledged the boy as his son, he allowed Cleopatra to name him as such, and many believed Caesarion was indeed his child. Caesar returned to Rome, where he had a wife named Calpurnia waiting for him, but his connection with Cleopatra was not over. In 46 BCE, Cleopatra travelled to Rome with their young son and her entourage. This was shocking to Romans, as Caesar installed her in his villa across the Tiber River. No foreign monarch had ever been invited to live so close to Rome before. For 2 years, Cleopatra lived in Rome, causing quite a stir. Roman society was scandalised by this foreign queen, who called herself a living goddess. She dressed in the robes of the Egyptian goddess Isis, and kept to Egyptian customs rather than adopting Roman ways. Caesar even placed a golden statue of Cleopatra in the temple of Venus Genetrix, the goddess from whom Caesar's family claimed descent. Many Romans were unhappy with Caesar's relationship with the Egyptian queen. They feared his growing power and worried he might try to become a king, something Romans deeply opposed since they had overthrown their last king nearly 500 years earlier. On the Ides of March in 44 BCE, the 15th day of the month, Caesar was assassinated in the Roman Senate by a group of senators who called themselves the Liberators. He was stabbed 23 times and fell at the foot of a statue of his former friend Pompey. When news reached Cleopatra, she quickly gathered her household and returned to Egypt. She knew that without Caesar's protection, Rome was no longer safe for her or her son. Back in Egypt, Cleopatra ruled for another 14 years. She would later form an alliance and romance with Mark Antony, one of Caesar's most trusted generals, who became a ruler of Rome's eastern provinces after Caesar's death. Their story would be another chapter in the history of Roman Egypt, ending tragically when they both took their own lives after being defeated by Caesar's adopted son, Octavian, who would later become Emperor Augustus. The relationship between Julius Caesar and Cleopatra changed the course of history. It wasn't just a romance, it was a political alliance between two brilliant rulers who each had something the other needed. Caesar gained access to Egypt's vast grain supplies and wealth, while Cleopatra secured her position on the throne and hoped to expand Egypt's influence through their connection. Though their time together lasted only a few years, their legacy lived on. Their stories have been told and retold for over 2,000 years, inspiring plays, poems, books, and films. And while many of these stories exaggerate or romanticize their relationship, the truth of their connection, based on mutual respect, political advantage, and perhaps genuine affection, remains one of history's most fascinating tales of power and passion. Now, as the stars shine over the ancient lands that once knew their footsteps, it's time to close your eyes and dream of golden palaces, mighty empires, and two remarkable leaders whose brief encounter shaped the ancient world. Sleep well, and remember that history is full of extraordinary people who changed the world in their time, just as you might change the world in yours.